Hey, welcome to No Two Gays About It, the podcast that gives voice to the over 50 gay male. I'm Tom Burke.
And I'm Michael Foley.
And if you are reading or watching the news out there, you know it's a little bit dire. So today, we are going to put the happy back into gay.
Yeehaw!
So, Michael, before we really get into it, what happy, positive things are happening in your life?
Well, I went to the Homo Rodeo this past week.
Is that what they call it? The Homo Rodeo?
That's what I call it.
Okay.
There's a bunch of letters. The Gay Lesbian Rodeo Association, something. And they do it out here in Banning, which is about a half an hour from Palm Springs.
Okay.
And, kind of wasn't sure what to expect because it's been a long time, and I have sort of mixed feelings about rodeos now, because there is some animal cruelty issues. But I can only speak for this particular rodeo. These folks genuinely showed a lot of love to the animals, and there was really no cruelty happening, even though a protest showed up and blocked the entrance for a minute. Which is great. We live in a country where that's okay.
Sure.
So it was a lot of fun. I got burnt, third-degree burns on the back of my head, but it was a hoot.
Nice.
What's happening on your end?
Awesome.
Your sister was in town, huh?
She was in town, and that was fine. But we also had a few other happy, positive things happen in our world this week. Number one was we celebrated our 35th anniversary. Which, right? Normally I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. But this time I took a step back and I looked at it and was like, that's a huge accomplishment to make it 35 years in a relationship with one person. So we both took that moment and kind of acknowledged what we had done and where we've been. And that was amazing. Another really positive thing in our life was that my husband got a new job, which was great. Thank you very much. He was sought out for this new job, and he wasn't so happy in his last job. And so this one, he is back up in the C-suite, and he is feeling better about himself. So all is good there. So yeah, we've had some really happy, positive things in our life.
Congratulations on all of the above, especially the 35 years. I do have a quick question to ask you. What's a C-suite?
Oh, in the corporate world, there is the CEO, CFO, COO.
Gotcha.
He's the
I've never heard
CDO. Yeah.
Term.
So it's all good. So now let's get into bringing some happiness back into the gay world. And why Michael and I came up with this whole thing was that, as we usually do every week, we get together and discuss life and discuss our show and what we want to talk about. And we started just discussing what's happening out there in the world? What's happening in the news? What do you want to talk about? And as we went over the news stories, it was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, everything was so... seriously, we were sitting there looking at each other for an hour going, what the fuck? Everything was so heavy and so depressing.
Yeah.
No matter where you looked.
Right. So, and not just in our gay community, but it just seems there's a lot of heavy negativity out there. So what we decided would be best was to, as we mentioned earlier, bring some happiness back into the gay. And let's talk about what we've done, what we've accomplished, where we've been. Let's really, as Scott and I did this week, stepped back and looked at our accomplishment. I think we, as a gay community, especially those of us over 50, need to do that as well. Step back and say, you know what? It's not all sunshine and lollipops today, but you know what? Look at what we have done. Look where we have been.
Just take that one single moment to step back and go, in the midst of the heavy, just to take a step back and go, what's going right? What do I have to be thankful for? Is such a huge thing for all of us to do.
Right. So let's do that. Let's take that step back and see, what have we accomplished as a gay community. Um, what's one thing that you can think of, Michael?
Easily a gay marriage. Let's
Ding,
start.
ding,
Let's
ding,
start
ding,
with that.
ding.
That
Yeah.
we have that now. We
Yeah.
fought
How
for it.
great is that?
We want it, and it's good to sit in that and not all of everything else that we're being barraged with in the moment. That we have that accomplishment.
Sure. And so, if that's something you would like to do in life, you have that ability. Thinking about Scott and I 35 years ago, we didn't have that right. But we made a conscious commitment to each other as if we were becoming married because we didn't have that right. But then over the years, we all fought and finally got it. So, how great is that? That
Absolutely.
every young gay male out there has that choice. He or she can choose if they would like to marry someone. So I think that's awesome. That's a really great accomplishment, and that
Yeah,
is
and
something positive,
absolutely. How about just the ability to walk down the street holding your boyfriend's hand,
right?
which, maybe 30, 40 years ago, you might get the
Yeah,
shit beat out of you for doing that, depending on where you are. And now, in a lot of places, you might still get a head turn, but guess what? You can do it.
right. And well, first of all, when I see that, it's usually younger guys who are walking down our streets here in Palm Springs, and I always have that kind of like, "Aw, isn't that sweet?" kind of feeling. I would not walk down the street holding my husband's hand. I am in that older generation of that it was so wrong to do that I still feel very uncomfortable in public for any sort of what is that?
PDA.
PDA. Yeah, I was trying to think what that
It,
was.
that's so interesting because I'm just the opposite. Maybe because I was so militant in the 80s, that holding a hand was a statement for me. And I am a serial hand holder. If I'm out on a date, no matter where I
Okay.
am, it's like if I want to walk down the street and grab somebody's hand, I do. I always have. If I'm in the movies, or even at a restaurant, I like, to reach across and
Wow,
grab somebody's
really?
hand. Oh my God, always.
So let me ask you then. So if you are dating, men our age, do they all are they all okay with that, or they like me kind of recoil a bit and go like, ooh,
There's about a 50-50 split
yeah,
because
okay,
sometimes when I do it, because like you said, there's a recoil. And I will always ask, are you okay with this? And they'll take a moment and usually go, yeah, you know what, I am.
yeah.
But there is that initial instinct to pull away because that's the generation we are from.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. I even when we are, let's say, at a party with just gay couples, if my husband like puts his arm around me or touches me, I have that moment of recoil because we just were not trained that way. But that is such an amazing thing that now we do have that,
Yeah.
that the younger generations are so free to be able to walk down the street as who they are, wearing whatever they want to wear, doing PDA, whatever their PDA is,
And
public
it's
display of
it's
affection.
interesting. Public display of affection. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it is. It's interesting that there are still so many people in the heterosexual community who are like, "Don't throw it in our faces. We don't want to see it." Well, we don't necessarily want to see you sucking face in public either.
Oh, I
So
I don't want to see that at all.
yeah, but I mean, holding a hand is for somebody to object to that. I'm sorry for whatever is happening in their life that they think an expression of affection or love is inappropriate. Um, and again, so that's a great thing that we have that ability now to do it. And like you said, for the new generation, it's
Yeah.
not even a thought like it was
Not
for us. Like,
even
is
a
this the
thought.
proper place for me to grab his hand?
Nope.
Or
They
it's
don't
just
care.
nope.
It's awesome.
It's a
So,
beautiful
what
thing.
a great positive thing in our community amidst whatever negativity is happening. What about all of the gay rights that we have kind of earned over the past few years?
Absolutely. I mean, look at all the federal laws that have been passed in regard to federal contractors, federal entities, government entities, where we now have our partners get health insurance. They
Yeah.
get survival benefits. There's all this major things that heterosexual couples took for granted their entire life, that it was
Right.
just a given, that for us it was a struggle, and now we have it. And again, it's great to sit and just to take that moment and go, we've come a long way.
Right. Yeah.
Fight's not over, but you got to sit in that moment of accomplishment.
You know, it's so funny that you just mentioned the insurance. And like I said, Scott just got a new job and he was filling out the insurance forms and, yelled to me, like, what's your social security number? And I yelled back to him. And I remember the very first time that we were on the same insurance policy together years ago. We had to do the civil union thing to be able to get it. And what a humongous deal that was. And then today it was just like, hey, what's your social number? Like it's not a big deal anymore. How great is that? How positive is that?
Yep, absolutely.
Really, really great.
And then there's one more thing I would love to mention because for me this is a huge one.
Okay.
So all of our allies who, back in the day we had allies, but they wouldn't necessarily stand next to us at a rally, or not because they didn't love us, but because there was fear. And now all of our allies who have come out of the closet, corporate allies, people in the entertainment industry, who unabashedly say, you are our equal. That's huge.
Sure.
And got to send out a huge thank you to all of them for standing shoulder to shoulder and allowing us that open-heartedness.
So while things are happening in Florida or Texas or wherever, instead of focusing on like, oh man, they're like trying to rip everything away from us, to then just step back and go like, yeah, but look at all of these other people who are standing with us. That's what we need to do is just keep looking at the positive. Try to keep living in the world of trusting all will, work out the way it's supposed to and not living in that negativity. So yeah, fantastic. Great way
Yeah.
to bring the happy back into gay.
Absolutely. And sometimes you just have to unplug because you know me. I spend hours a day either watching or reading news, and it is skewed toward the negative.
Sure.
And sometimes you just have to remember to take a breath, unplug, walk away, and just be grateful for something.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. 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 So, yes, ladies and gentlemen out there in the gay world, let's bring some more positivity back into our lives.
Why do I feel like the Partridge Family, Come On Get Happy, should be playing right now?
Come on, get happy. Okay, who are you in the Partridge Family?
I'm Tracy.
The little redhead?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wow.
I just am. I'm the one with the tambourine with no talent. That is me. You're Shirley, aren't you? Shirley.
Oh, I'm totally Shirley. Yeah. Okay, that's great. All right. So yeah, let's bring. Come on, get happy. Let's bring some positivity back into our world amidst all of the negativity that is floating out there. Take a moment, step back, and look at the accomplishments that we have as a community have made. It really will change your perspective.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, Michael.
So, Tom.
Yes, it's important to step back and look at the major accomplishments we as a gay community have accomplished, have brought about. But it's also really important that we, as just human individuals, do that in our own lives, to step back and just see the positive things that we have just around us. And it's really important that you and I and everyone else out there don't concentrate on the big stuff. Concentrate on the little things that are around us. So tell me a few things in your life that that are positive, or how do you bring positivity into your life amidst all of the negative things that are happening out there?
Well, besides being Tracy with the tambourine, I'm also kind of Eeyore. I just am. It's,
Okay.
it's a personality trait.
Sure.
So sometimes I have to take a step back and look at the amazing people who are in my life and surround me. Because their presence in my life makes me feel like I'm doing something right. Don't necessarily know what it is in any given moment, but
Right.
it's they say that you can tell who someone is by the people who surround them, and I think I'm still becoming who I am, but I see the people who are around me and support me, and I'm so grateful for that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, I think that word that you just used, grateful, is one of the main things that I use to bring positivity in my life. It's that gratitude. I think I really, truly believe in gratitude uh, to not only acknowledge everything in your life, but that also brings in more positivity. One thing that I do, I hike every morning. And every morning that I hike, I um, go over 5 things that I'm grateful for today. And I just make sure that, I am really taking the time to think about these things and acknowledge them and acknowledge their presence and just the gratitude for that. And that has made my life so much happier in a way. And even the days that I don't get to hike, I'm like, oh, I got to get up there and like be grateful for things. I'm like, wait a minute, Tom, you can do that wherever you are.
Yeah.
But
So did you hike today?
no, but I swam laps today, and
Sweet.
I
Because I
was
was going to ask you what one of those things were, if you don't mind sharing.
well, just as you said, one of the things that I often am grateful for or put in my list of gratitude are the people around me, the people that I'm meeting. And especially here, you and I both have moved to a new city, and I find it's really important to take a step back and acknowledge these new people that are in our lives. I I'm sure it's the same with you, but the people I'm meeting out here are so friendly and so open and just really lovely people. So that is definitely one of the things that I'm truly grateful for.
I'm actually glad you said that because you reminded me I really wanted to say something to some of the folks at the Tool Shed, which is that place I go to for musical bingo, who will come up to me and people I don't even know or have never talked to and just say, I love what you guys are doing on your podcast.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And, the first time it happened, I was taken aback because I'm like, I just wasn't expecting it.
Sure.
And now when it happens, there's just this moment of extreme gratitude that somebody who doesn't know me would actually put themselves out and compliment us for what we're doing and giving our community and our generation a voice that wasn't necessarily there.
Right.
So thank you to everybody at the Tool Shed who takes the time to listen. It's greatly appreciated.
Yes, thank you all at the tool shed, not only for, acknowledging us but also for being a really good friend to Michael. I know
and
that's
and welcoming.
yeah,
And
that's
it's go ahead, say it.
definitely
I know what you're going to say.
no, I'm not going to say any I don't know what
Oh, I thought you were
I
going to say, and I know how hard that is.
Oh no, I definitely know how hard it is, but
Exactly.
we're trying to
So,
be positive here,
okay.
Michael. No, I know how important that place has become to you. That you found this place. You are definitely a person who um, likes not routine, but you find something, and that becomes your like your restaurant, your whatever. And the tool shed for you on musical bingo is something that brings such happiness to you. I see it in you when you're talking about it, when you're talking about the songs and that you won, and it's such a great thing. So thanks to all those tool shed people for bringing happiness into my friend Michael's life. So I think that's great. Um, you know, you described yourself as Eeyore, which, believe me, I totally buy. But you and I have a friend, Joe, who is totally wired happy.
He's
I mean, there
Tigger.
are some people that are just wired happy, and everything is is sunshine and lollipops and rainbows. You are not that guy. I too I'm wired a little sad. And so I have to work at it. And to bring that happiness into my life, to bring that positivity into my life. So you and I both know that struggle, but we also know the benefit, the
Absolutely.
win from doing that. So for those of you that are like Michael, who are watching the news 24/7 and just getting bogged down by all of this negativity out there, just simply bring a little happiness into your life. I mentioned I swam laps today. I love swimming. I always have since I was a child. And when we bought this new house, we totally redid it, but we also ripped out the pool that was outside because I hated it. And I built this pool that I absolutely love. And every time I dive into it, I I say that to myself. It's like, I love this pool. This is making me so happy. So for all of you, you need to find those things that make you happy. What's another thing that makes you happy in your life?
I love being on a tennis court for
Well, there you go.
so many different reasons. It
Yeah.
has been the greatest life lesson learning that game because I took it up really late in life at 36. It has been probably the greatest life lesson in my life, teaching me about who I am. Yeah, I love that. I love the competitive nature of it. I love the interaction with other human beings. I had some friends who came into town and we played doubles recently. And it was just so much fun. It's, as competitive as it was, it's also so social and so supportive. And it also, when you do something physical, even though there's that resistance to it, the endorphins fire.
Right.
There is a chemical reaction that happens within your brain that changes your state of mind. And like you said, for you, it's swimming.
Right.
And if folks out there could just find something, even if it's just going for a walk, that changes that chemical makeup, it's hugely important.
Sure. And as we said earlier about, taking that moment to step back and look at the big accomplishments we as a gay community have brought about, that, through our fighting, through our constant, battling, we also have to do that as individuals, to step back and look at the accomplishments you've made in your life. They don't have to be humongous things. You all know I love a great list. I love making lists. But you know why I love making lists? Because I love crossing things off my list. I love making that accomplishment. And today, every morning, like today, I got done with my swimming and I came to my desk and I wrote up English today. And I love, like, yep, did that, awesome. So it's that little thing that brings a joy to me. We don't have to have, like, oh, I got my PhD and I just cured cancer. It could be something as simple as I took out the trash. Great, I did
I was
that.
just, for me, it's making my bed.
There you go, right?
Because I can't remember the name of the general, but somebody in the military a few years back wrote a book about positivity. And he said, if you have one accomplishment during the day, make it that thing you do first thing, make your bed. And I was so bad at that. I really was. But now every morning I get up and begrudgingly will make my bed. And that does give me a sense of accomplishment every time I walk into my bedroom.
Well, there you go.
You look at it and go, oh, I did that, as opposed to a pile of sheets and a crumpled up blanket.
And then feeling bad about yourself. Right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like, oh, I should have done that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So great for all of you people out there. Take a moment to bring the happy back into your gay life by just finding passions that you have, enjoying your everyday life, and looking at the accomplishments you made.
And for
And
all the couples out there, I would like to ask you a question. Since
sure.
you have such you've had a long run. What do you guys do as a couple that brings that happiness into you as a unit? Like, is there a secret that you guys have? Do you set time aside? Like, what's the secret?
Well, we do consider each other in every, decision we make and every choice that we make. We do spend an awful lot of time together, which is a blessing and a curse. No, we don't have separate lives. It was something that we chose not to do when we first got together, that we were making this commitment together and we were going to be together. I know there are a lot of couples that do live their separate lives, but that's just something that we don't. And so, yeah,
That was a beautiful thing you said, actually, where you said you consider each other in every decision.
which we do.
Yeah, because to me, that would be the key to the absolutely healthiest, most perfect kind of relationship.
Well, fantastic.
Yeah. So kudos to you, boys. And again, happy 35th.
Well, thank you very much. All right. So, Michael, we have been discussing bringing the happy back into the gay. And so far, we've talked about the big things, taking a step back and looking at the big accomplishments that we as a gay community have done. We've also discussed stepping back and just looking at our own personal lives and where do we find that joy and where do we find that happiness and what accomplishments have we made. But now I've got a question for you. How can we, as a community of over 50 gay males, bring positivity into our lives, into our community, amid all of the negativity that is out there today? How can we do that?
I, for me, it would be just reaching out to somebody who you normally wouldn't, that goes a little outside of your comfort zone. And don't be afraid to be vulnerable.
So, okay, give me an example. Who are we reaching out to?
Any of the other letters in our moniker of LGBTQ plus.
Oh, that's a good one, right?
Yeah, if you don't have any trans friends, see if there. I'm sure in your circle of other friends that somebody has to know a trans individual and have a conversation with them, talk to them, get to know them. You will be very surprised at what you can learn because I know I've mentioned this before. I have had trans friends in my life since I came out at the age of 18. And maybe that's why I'm such a fierce advocate for them as well as the rest of our community because I know who they are.
Right.
Because they've allowed me to. And that is a gift. When somebody opens up and shares who they are, I can't imagine anything more positive or life affirming.
Fantastic. So, in order to bring some positivity into our gay community, it's to open yourselves up to people who are outside of the G, outside of the gay part of this community. I was telling you earlier when we were meeting that we went to a dinner party this weekend, and one of my dinner companions next to me was a lesbian woman who I absolutely loved. She was so much fun. I'm like, you are my new best friend, which is great. So yeah, I agree with you too. That not only brings positivity into our gay world, but into the whole LGBTQ plus world, that we are supporting each other, and what's more positive than support from one another. So that's
especially
a great thing.
especially in this moment of time where we need seriously to have each other's backs.
Sure. Fantastic. All right. Tell me another thing, another way that we can bring joy or happiness into our community.
I think just finding just a simple thing that makes you happy, because I think when you're happy, you bring that out into the world.
Sure.
Just walking around town, you see people who have a weight on them. So just throw a smile their way.
Yeah.
So just again, open up, be vulnerable.
Fantastic. When I was living in New York, there was a photographer who said this thing to me. I'm not going to be able to recreate what he said, but it was this whole thing about just smiling at someone on the street or in a store or, acknowledging them is a gift that you are giving them. And that will be that butterfly effect, which
Yeah.
then they will be like, oh, okay, and then they'll pass it on to somebody else. So yeah, I agree with that, you know, just just a small acknowledgement of someone else could
Yeah.
totally change their day.
Especially someone in the service industry with
Oh
all of the shit
God,
that
yeah,
they get in the
right?
course of their day.
Yeah.
I still watch some people go into a store and they don't even acknowledge this person who's actually providing them a service. They don't say thank you.
Right.
They don't, and I go out of my way. And I see what it does for them, which then obviously I get something in return. It's that perpetual circle.
Sure.
And it always makes me happy when I do this thing for these two guys who work at a 7-Eleven by me because I love 7-Eleven coffee, that every once in a while I go in and I'm like, can you print up 3 lottery tickets for whatever's going off tonight, 3 separate ones? And then it's like, you guys pick yours first. And then I get the one that's left. And it's just amazing to watch what that does for them.
Sweet.
And again, then
Nice.
it fills me up as well.
Yeah, of
And
course.
then it makes me a little happier during the course of my day.
And so, for all of you people out there in our community, yes, there is all of this heavy, dark, negative stuff happening out there, but just something like that changed your life. It changed the guys at 7-Eleven's life. It probably changed someone who was watching, who was standing in line behind you. So, yeah, just these little things can do so much to bring positivity and happiness back into the day. Anything else? Any other words of wisdom and how we can bring some positivity into our lives?
I think living in the moment is a massive one.
Okay, that's a really hard one.
It really is. Tell me about it. Because again, especially if you're involved in politics as much as I am, you're like, what is going to happen? Donald, this fucking orange boil on the ass of humanity is running for president again. And you can't, it's so hard to rein that in and go, tomorrow's going to take care of itself. And I have to be where I am now and do what I can now to make this moment the most valuable for both me and everybody else. Now, mind you, that doesn't happen about 80% of the time, but the 20% of the time where I'm able to rein myself in and live in that space, it makes such a massive difference on how my day goes.
Yeah, that's great. And what's really weird here we are talking about how can we bring happiness back into our gay community. And actually the things that we're talking about are very small things.
Yeah.
Yes, you can get out there and you can, like you did in your youth, walk the streets and blow your whistles and picket and do whatever. But you can also do these small things that completely change not only your life, but someone else's life. So I think that's a really important thing to remember, that it doesn't have to be something big.
Yeah.
That you can bring positivity and happiness into your life and into someone else's life simply with a nod, simply with an acknowledgement.
Yeah, life is not about grand gestures. It's about small moments for me.
Aw, that's fantastic. Well, thank you. The next thing that we normally talk about in our show is the savage side-eye. Which is one of my favorite parts of our podcast, because this is where Michael and I get to throw a little shade, throw that side eye to somebody or something that is really bugging us this week. But you have a different take on it this week, don't you, Michael?
Yeah, we discussed this because we wanted to live in the happy through this whole show. So what we're going to ask of you guys out there for this week is to give yourself the savage side eye. A gentle one, though, where if you see yourself straying off of that little path of happiness in moments where you're able to acknowledge it, just give yourself a little side eye, and go, Do I need to be here, or would I rather be happy? And I think when we have those moments of recognition, we always will more than likely choose the happy. Is this going to matter tomorrow? Probably not.
Yeah.
And just, be nice to yourself. And again, it's always good to give yourself a little side eye, like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah. Fantastic.
And then move on. Don't beat yourself. Be
So,
kind to yourself.
Well, actually, besides you giving yourself the side eye, could I just come over and like slap you upside your head? Whenever?
Of course.
Okay, good. Just want to make
'Cause
sure
there's
that's still on the table.
That is therapy as well. Remember those punching, when you would go into a therapist's office and they would have those punching bags? Like
No,
the bozo,
I don't.
The bozo, the clowns? No? Where you got to take or to hit a pillow?
Oh.
Oh.
Not my therapist.
Again,
no.
we've led very different lives.
But I do remember those punching things, the Bozo the Clown thing.
Yes.
The big blow up thing.
Yeah.
And those were awesome.
Yeah.
And I know that only people over 50 out there listening know what we're talking about.
Or know who Bozo the Clown is.
True. Did you ever go to Bozo's Circus?
No, it was always on my wish list.
Yeah, I got to go a couple times. It was great.
Bitch.
Great.
But
All right.
it's funny because if you look back at those shows now, they are a little scary.
Yeah, they're scary, but you know what? Just thinking about that is bringing me a little joy.
Me too. Oh,
Which
you know what
is-
else brings me joy? I have to mention these two things because
Okay.
it does. If I'm in an ugly place, I shut out the world and I will do one of two things. Either put on Schitt's Creek or The Golden Girls.
Okay.
And it takes me off of the cliff.
Well, there you go. Fantastic.
Just a suggestion for anybody out there who has that show that does that for them.
Yeah. Nice.
What's yours?
I don't have a show like that.
Oh, you like reality TV, though. Yours would be like Project Runway or something, right?
Oh, I do love a good runway. Any show that has a runway, that's great. I used to kill it on the runway. Anyway, I don't really have a show like that, but that's good. That's great. So, you know what? I want to hear from all of our listeners out there or people watching us on YouTube. What is your happy place? What is something that brings joy or positivity into your life? Share with us. Let us know the little things or even the big things. And also, what are some of those big accomplishments we have as a community have done that brings you joy? And how can they let us know, Michael?
Well, they can find us anywhere they are on social media, which except for Twitter. And obviously there are reasons for that. Sure. Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Find us at the moniker No Two Gays About It. That is the number 2. No, the number 2 gays about it. You could also email us anytime you feel moved to do it at no2gaysabout@gmail.com. And you could also find us on YouTube now. We have our own channel. So please go there. Please subscribe. Please like it if you like what you see. Even if you don't and you never come back, like us anyway.
Of course they're coming back.
Of course
Who
they're coming
wouldn't come back for this?
But yeah, so reach out to us. We want to hear your thoughts. We would love your input. Anything you want us to talk about, we're very open to. So
yes,
hit us
fantastic. Fantastic. So, Michael, amidst all of the negativity and heaviness out there in the world and the world of politics and news, it's just so incredibly important to bring that happy back into the gay. And as we discover today, it's just by doing some really small, simple things that just bring us joy. So let's continue to do that. Get out there and bring positivity to everyone you meet today. And until we meet next time, Michael.
Tom, thank you so much. And thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.